I guess after we heard what Wayne LaPierre said at the CPAC convention in February after the high school shooting in Florida, where he said that the right to bear arms was not bestowed by man but a God-given right granted to Americans as their American birthright or something like that. It really struck both of us, and it reminded me of an article I had read a while ago that stuck with me by Gary Wills, the historian, after Sandy Hook, when he said that the gun is our Moloch. It's the god of our culture that demands the sacrifice of children because we believe so much in what the gun stands for, what it represents, what it can do. And so we were talking batting ideas back and forth, but we kept thinking about this kind of almost religious devotion to the gun, and we were thinking, my partner Bert and I were thinking about the ways in which that kind of devotion to, or faith to, or attitude about the gun actually prevents us from having reasonable conversations about reasonable gun control legislation. And so we decided to take it to an extreme because I think parody and satire are one of the ways we start to understand what's at stake in an issue. And so we decided to create a chapel to the gun. So it's at Tapp's Art Center right now. There are two sort of church-like tapestries on the wall. One says in good Republican fashion, "Now is not the time." The other is the direct quote from LaPierre about the right to bear arms being granted by God to us as Americans. There is a child, or a symbol of a child, a mannequin crucified on a cross made out of guns. There's a church pulpit and a church pew. We have in the front window, right at the front of the window, a communion tray, and the cups aren't filled with wine, they're filled with spent AR-15 bullets, again sort of suggesting the symbolism of this kind of devotion. And then there are three fake machine guns, toy guns, like a trinity, hanging from the ceiling, and all of them have their laser pointers pointed at the sidewalk. So if you're standing in front of the window, you might realize you have a laser target on you. And then on either side, on the left-hand side of the window, there is a representation of the guardian angel, and we photoshopped Dana Loesch's face on it. She's the spokesperson for the NRA. And just the way she talks in her own book about guns, about children and the use of children, she accuses advocates of gun control of using children, and yet they do it all the time in their own rhetoric as well. So it's Dana Loesch as the guardian angel. And there's a little poem I wrote. And then on the right-hand side, we just have a whole series of quotes we found that suggest the kind of attention some sectors of American culture give to the gun is almost religious in its devotion. So it's 4 pages of quotations suggesting this kind of religious devotion to the gun. I mean, the fact that we definitely wanted to have it up the week before the march, the march to save, I forget what it's called, the March for Our Lives on Saturday. And the fact that it's in the front window of Tapp's, it's just a very trafficked place, and we just hope it causes people to stop and think seriously about what is our attitude about guns, and what is it about our attitude that prevents us from having civil, reasonable conversations about reasonable gun control. I mean, what is it about our faith in guns that they provide us our freedom, our kind of fetishization of guns? So yeah, we're hoping. Someone else had posted on Facebook, and I thought this was nice, that it might not lead to agreement, but it would definitely make people say out loud what they think, and sometimes the best way to start talking is to simply vocalize what we think about an issue. So I don't know, we'll see. I hope that's the effect it has. Good reaction so far. I did get one request on Facebook to debate, and I looked at the guy's Facebook page, and his profile picture was something like, "Kill something every chance you get." And I thought, this isn't going to be a debate. He already knows what he thinks.
Sure.
So I don't know. We've gotten good response, and I hope it starts conversations. And I hope it starts conversations not about the kind of specificities of gun control, although I think having discussions about the age you can buy a gun, or why there should be a national registry and things like that, are good discussions. I guess I'm hoping it sort of occasions larger ways of thinking about why do we think about guns the way we think about them, and why do we think about guns in such a way that our ideas of America or of freedom or masculinity or who we are as Americans are tied to this image, this concept, this thing, the gun. And I should say, I grew up in rural culture, hunting culture. I know hunters use guns. But I do think there's a kind of weird obfuscation coming from some gun advocates. I'm thinking on the window, one of the things I quote was on CNN, the reporter asked Dana Loesch, she said, hunters don't need AR-15s, do they? And Dana Loesch said, we could have that discussion all day. And I thought, no, we couldn't. If you were honest and reasonable, you would say, yeah, you're right. I don't need a rifle that's going to blow the deer to pieces to go hunting. So there's this weird kind of obfuscation or refusal to engage at a practical, reasonable level, and instead there's this immediate pushing away or this slide into some kind of slippery slope argument. The NRA spokespeople love the slippery slope argument that if you take this one thing away, they're coming for all our guns. So I don't know. I come from a gun culture, so it's not that I'm against guns, but I think we need to have reasonable discussions about what can be done to keep guns out of the hands of people who are doing the things they've been doing. I hope people will drop by, and I hope they'll let Tapp's Art Center know what they think of it. I think I appreciate Tapp's being open to this kind of installation and this kind of politically engaged art. Tapp's Art Center is a real prize in Columbia, so I'm grateful to them for letting us do this.